Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Rizamisi Narciso, your subject teacher for the subject CVM 121 entitled Strategic Management. Today, I am going to discuss to you about the global level strategy and its impact of its operations across multinational borders. But before going to the details, let us first define the meta language in this unit. Let us start with the term global level strategy. This is an organization strategy for the management of its operations across multinational borders. Second is the Porter's Diamond, is a model to show how the competitive advantage of nations is based on local regional advantages. Next is the strategies for international markets. This includes multi-domestic, global, international, and transnational. This topic is very interesting and later I will be giving some examples for it. Then, the micro multinationals are small organizations that maintain a hub in a domestic economy but use the internet to reach customers who are spread out across global markets. And lastly is the strategic alliances and partnerships are formal and informal associations and collaborations between independent organizations. Okay, a global strategy is one that a company takes when it wants to compete and expand in the global market. In other words, a strategy businesses pursue that when they wish to expand internationally. A global strategy refers to the plans an organization has developed to target growth beyond its borders, and specifically, it aims to increase the sales of goods or services abroad. Companies talk about going global when what they really mean is that they are moving internationally, outside their home countries, and it is important to clarify precisely what is meant by such wording because the strategic implications are completely different. The business resources needed to sell internationally might typically include a sales team, brochures of products in various languages, and an office team to handle sales orders back in the home country. The business resource is going global are much better, and typically companies need manufacturing plant in various low labor cost countries such as China or Philippines, global branding and advertising, sales team in every major country, expensive patent and intellectual property registration in many countries, and a lot more. So, why go global if the required resources are much greater and incidentally more complex to manage? Because the business rewards are supposed to be much greater for a global strategy, and so are the risks. Hence, many companies do not have a global strategy in the way that it is defined in international business literature. Even some major multinationals do not have a true global strategy in the sense of completely integrated production, no localized brands, and more. For example, the highly successful multinational company Pepsi Company dominates savory snacks products around the world. However, it still has local brands like Walker's Crisps in the UK. It does not use its Lay's brand name in the UK but employs Lay's in much of the rest of the world. Why? So historical reasons that began with the Pepsi Company acquisition of Walker's, which was already UK market leader. So even if companies have a global strategy, this takes years to develop and requires substantial resources. So it needs many millions of US dollars and substantial management time and expertise. For example, Coca-Cola took many years to develop its current position in the world soft drinks market. For most companies, including many smaller companies, it is more realistic to develop an international or multinational strategy. Okay, Michael Porter's diamond model is also known as the theory of national competitive advantage of industries. So it is a diamond-shaped framework that focuses on explaining why certain industries within a particular nation are competitive internationally whereas others might not. And why is that certain companies in certain countries are capable of consistent innovation whereas others might not. Supporters suggest that any company's ability to compete in the international arena is based mainly on an interrelated set of location advantages that certain industries in different nations possess, namely firm strategy, structure and rivalry, factor conditions, demand conditions, and related and supporting industries. So if these conditions are favorable, it forces domestic companies to continuously innovate and upgrade. The competitiveness that will result from this is helpful and even necessary when going internationally and battling the world's largest competitors. So these articles will explain the four main concepts and include two components that are often included in this model. So the role of the government and chance together, they form the national environment in which companies are born and learn how to compete. So let us discuss firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. So the national context in which companies operate largely determines how companies are created, organized, and managed. It affects their strategy and how they structure themselves. Moreover, domestic rivalry is instrumental to international competitiveness since it forces companies to develop unique and sustainable strengths and capabilities. The more intense domestic rivalry is, the more companies are being pushed to innovate and improve in order to maintain their competitive advantage. In the end, this will only help companies when entering the international arena. A good example for this is the Japanese automobile industry, with intense rivalry between players such as Nissan, Honda, Toyota, Suzuki, Mitsubishi, and Subaru. Because of their own fierce domestic competition, they have become able to more easily compete in foreign markets as well. Kasi 'di ba if we say made in Japan, it is expected to have a robust design. Lig-on jud siya with utmost durability. Kaya nga maraming mga car buyers who would prefer Japanese automobile companies due to good product reputation. So then we have factor conditions. Factor conditions in a certain country refer to the natural capital and human resources available. Some countries are, for example, very rich in natural resources, such as oil, for example, in Saudi Arabia, and even in Philippines, we are rich in natural resources. So this explains why Saudi Arabia is one of the largest exporters of oil worldwide. With human resources, we mean created factors, conditions such as a skilled labor force, good infrastructure, and a scientific knowledge base. Porter argues that especially these created factors conditions are important opposed to natural factors conditions that are already present. It is important that these created factor conditions are continuously upgraded through the development of skills and the creation of new knowledge. Competitive advantage results from the presence of world-class institutions that first create specialized factors and then continually work to upgrade them. Nations thus succeed in industries where they are particularly good at factor creation. Okay, next is the demand conditions. The home demand largely affects how favorable countries within a certain nation are. A larger market means more challenges, but also creates opportunities to grow and become better as a company. The presence of sophisticated demand conditions from local customers also pushes companies to grow, innovate, and improve quality. Striving to satisfy a demanding domestic market propels company to scale new heights and possibly gain early insights into the future needs of customers across borders. So nations thus gain competitive advantage in industries where the local customers give companies a clearer or earlier picture of emerging buyer needs, and where demanding customers pressure companies to innovate faster and achieve more sustainable competitive advantage than their foreign rivals. Best example for this is the McDonald's company, who offers different menu to satisfy domestic market. As discussed in the previous videos, we found out that McDonald's in Germany offers beers, while in France they offer wine, in Japan meron ding teriyaki and a lot more. So this is why they sustain their title as the #1 fast food chain in the world, just except in the Philippines. Okay, moving on, we have related and supporting industries. The presence of related and supporting industries provides the foundation on which the focal industry can excel. As we have seen in the value net, companies are often dependent on alliances and partnerships with each companies in order to create additional value for customers and become more competitive. Especially, suppliers are crucial to enhancing innovation through more efficient and higher quality inputs, timely feedback, and short lines of communication. A nation's companies benefit most when these suppliers themselves are in fact global competitors. So it can often take years or even decades of hard work and investments to create strong related and supporting industries that assist domestic companies to become globally competitive. However, once these factors are in place, the entire region or nation can often benefit from its presence. We can, for example, see it in the Silicon Valley, where all kinds of tech giants and tech startups are clustered in order to share ideas and stimulate innovation. Having this big giant in industry, sharing and brainstorming new innovative ideas is of great advantage for businesses. So para din sa mga clubs and organization that we have in UM, example, the JMA, wherein part of the annual program is the national event, the One Big Idea, wherein a lot of companies, schools, and even business tycoons gather to share best practices with each other, in which everyone can benchmark with it. So next is the role. Okay, wait lang. So the role of the government in Porter's diamond model, ito, is described as both a catalyst and challenger. So Porter doesn't believe in a free market where the government leaves everything in the economy up to the invisible hand. However, Porter doesn't see the government as an essential helper and supporter for industries either. Governments cannot create competitive industries, only companies can do that. Rather, governments should encourage and push companies to raise their aspirations and move to even higher levels of competitiveness. This can be done by stimulating early demand for advanced products, focusing on specialized factor creation such as infrastructure. So see the rationale behind the Build program of the current admin, the education system and the health sector, and encouraging change. So the government can thus assist the development of the aforementioned factors in the way that should benefit the industries in a certain country. And finally is the chance. Even though Porter originally didn't write anything about chance or luck in his paper, the role of chance is often included in the diamond model as the likelihood that external events such as war and natural disasters can negatively affect or benefit a country or industry. However, it also includes random events such as where and when fundamental scientific breakthrough occurs. So these events are beyond the control of the government or individual companies. So for instance, this pandemic, some firms may gain competitive positions like those involved in online selling, while others may lose, such as the amusement, theaters, etc. Well, these factors cannot be changed. They should at least be monitored so you can make decisions as necessary to adapt to changing market. Okay, let us discuss the different global level strategy options, starting with first, the international strategy. An international company is one that imports and exports. In other words, it sells to customers abroad and has foreign suppliers. However, this type of company does not have any investments. Example, branches, offices, factories outside its home country. Example is a Dole Food Company, which ventures in imports and exports of products made in the Philippines. So, ang international strategy is about reaching out to international market pero hindi necessary na magtayo talaga sila ng branch to that specific country. It is just that the product moves. Kaya nakalabel ang international strategy into low local responsiveness. Ito, dito siya nakalabel. Kasi walang binago sa product. So what you see is what you get, ika nga. Then, low ang cost reduction kasi mataas ang gastos for shipping, meron ding tarifa, taxes, at iba pa. Most especially if you are not a member of an international organization where discounts for such will be given. Second is the global strategy. Okay. So a global company has investment and is present in several countries. So it markets its goods or services through the use of an identical coordinated image or brand in every market. So in most cases, there is one corporate office that is responsible for worldwide strategy. There is also a strong emphasis on cost management, efficiency, and volume. So yun, example is yung na-discuss natin in the previous video about Fred Flintstone that is not from Bedrock. So the cartoon character is actually from Manila. So are Tom and Jerry, Aladdin, and Donald Duck. And 90% of American television cartoons are produced in Asia and India, with the Philippines leading the way. Major studios like Disney, Marvel, Warner Brothers, and Hanna-Barbera send storyboards, cartoons, action outlines, and voice tracks to the Philippines. Artists draw, paints, and film about 20,000 sketches for a 30-minute episode. Cost incurred run around $130,000 to produce episodes in the Philippines, while $160,000 in Korea and $500,000 in US. Kaya nakalabel siya na mataas ang cost reduction. However, low ang local responsiveness. Kasi although Pinoy ang gumawa, American market pa rin ang product. So parang nag-outsource lang sila ng skills. Okay, so imagine $500,000 ang mai-incur nila na gasto pag ang US na mga employees or sketchers ang magbuhat sa ilahang episodes. Pero pag once nga sa Philippines siya buhaton, they will only incur $130,000 while in Korea is $160,000. Okay? Tapos quality pa ang maproproduce. So third is we have the multi-domestic strategy. So unlike an international one, okay, multi-domestic yun. Unlike an international one, okay, so it has investment in other countries. It has business, staff, and premises in more than one country. However, it does not have coordinated product offerings. A multinational company focuses more on adapting its products and services to individual local markets. So as discussed, McDonald's is the best example for this one. Kaya mataas ang local responsiveness kasi they are offering products based on the country's culture. However, low ang cost reduction kasi costly siya due to customization of products. So the more na personalized yung product na i-offer mo, the more that you will incur more dun sa cost of production na kasi hindi standard. Okay, so the last one is we have the transnational strategy. Okay, so transnational strategy operates in different countries. It has investments in operations both at home and abroad. However, the directors or managers at each individual market are also the decision makers for their regions. Additionally, local management decides on R&D and marketing policies and strategies for their territories. R&D stands for research and development. And transnational companies are significantly more complex organizations than the other three types. So Boeing, sales, and supply chain are worldwide. Let us check this Boeing 787 airline, which has garnered record sales worldwide with a 787 state-of-the-art design, having global suppliers and more spacious interior. Pwede ka ito magdagan-dagan guys as compared to other airline nga magsangko atong tuhod, di ba? Boeing teamed with more than 20 international system suppliers to develop technologies and design concepts for the 787. Boeing has 70% to 80% of the Dreamliner built by other companies. The state-of-the-art composite sections of the 787 are built around the world and shipped to Boeing for final assembly. So this is one of a kind kasi imagine that if the final assembly hindi magmatch ang sizes and measurements, pero they succeed in it. So although nga sa lain-lain nga part siya gibuhat, ang matag parts for example ang window, ang passenger seats, ang lightings, pero components from Boeing's worldwide supply chain come together to an assembly line in Everest, Washington. So dapat yung measurements and sizes niya is dapat swak talaga para pag abot sa final assembly, fit siya tanan. So although components come from throughout the world, around 35% of the 787 structure comes from Japanese companies, meaning they have a huge trust in Japanese technologies. So thus, globalization means that domestic production and exporting may no longer be a viable business model. Local production and exporting no longer guarantee success or even survival. So that is why a lot of companies nowadays venture to a more complex na mga strategy. Okay, so let us now discuss about this micro multinational. So what is micro multinational? So basically a small, often young business that operates globally. You could have only 5 staff, but each in a different time zone. So you might be working from your own bedroom, but sell your products from the UK to Colombia, Vietnam, and Denmark. Maybe you are a sole trader who provides technical consultancy to worldwide clients. Or maybe you make crafts and post them to clients board abroad. Clearly, this is easier now than ever before. Communications, transport, and technology make it easier to reach clients all over the world. Social media has a great role to play here alongside the internet more generally. So attitudes are changing as we get exposed to the world out there. Let me give you 3 examples. This Pika Lily, an organic and ethical clothes for babies and children's, exports to 25 countries through their online shop, but also through retailers and agents or distributors. 4 staff, 5 years trading, based in Seattle or North Yorkshire, and 60% of their current sales are exports. Diba? They only have 4 staff, but they were able to sell their product worldwide. Another is this Happy Little Souls, an online retailer of children's shoes that export to Spain, Portugal, Norway, Denmark, Greece, Slovenia, Ireland, Austria, France, and Germany. How many staff? Okay, guess. So only one. So very impressive and achievable. Naka-customize kasi yung mga footwear na ginabaligya nila. So another is this UV Angel. A team of 2 from Yorkshire makes unique handmade jewelry and accessories. They also have a Facebook page actually, which feature a range of amazing beads that and dramatically change color depending on UV exposure. And they export to Australia, New Zealand, France, and the US. So this pandemic could be an opportunity for entrepreneurs to go global due to intensive use of information technology right now. So in a day, how many times kayo nakatutok sa cellphones niyo? And how about in social media platforms? The Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So parang it's been part of our system that when we wake up in the morning, first thing to check is our phone. And before we sleep at night, we also do the same, right? So though it has its negative effects, still it can be an opportunity for someone. So tayo mga Pinoy, we always encourage to support small businesses kasi a lot of talent, skills, and ideas may come up from them. Kaya lang di napapansin in the bigger picture. Thus, the concept of micro-multinational aims to help those great minds to share their products in an international setting. So here in the Philippines, we always hear the phrase, support local. So as a way of promoting and helping enrich the lives of the Filipino community. So maraming magagaling sa atin. Okay, Davao del Norte is promoting this Musa fabric. We commonly heard of it in Tagum pageant, in which Miss Universe candidate Wayam Ahmed wear and promoted it during her battle for Miss Universe representing Davao del Norte last year. So Musa is the first fabric in the province made of banana and abaca fiber, woven and tailored by the persons deprived of liberty. So, in jail institutions, women community, persons with disability, and IPs or Lumad Muslims in Davao del Norte, Philippines. Okay, so the War and Frost 1999 have put forward a strategic framework for local companies to assess their competitive strength in an emerging market, which is based on the strength of globalization, pressures, and the degree to which a company's assets are transferable internationally. Let us now discuss this 4-model strategy for local businesses in emerging markets, starting with the Defender strategy. It refers to a situation when the pressure to globalize in the industry is low and companies' assets are customized to the local market. So focus on the needs of local customers frequently makes the company resources not transferable to other markets. So SMEs should concentrate on defending its current positions. So its advantage is a consequences of the knowledge of the market, the company's distribution network, and of a better adjustment of the company's offer to the often special needs of local customers. So a local company may have developed low cost, mass market brands positioned around global beliefs about traditional ingredients that multinationals ignore. Just like the local brands discussed earlier, the Walker's Crisp in the UK. So it does not use its Lay's brand name in the UK, but employs Lay's in much of the rest of the world. So why? Historical reasons that began with the Pepsi Company acquisition of Walker's, which was already UK market leader. But here in the Philippines, Lay's talaga ang nakikita natin in the groceries. Okay, then we have the extender strategy. The extender strategy concerns companies possessing many competitive assets. However, the pressure to globalize in the industry is low. If a company's resources can be at least partially transferable to other markets, there is a possibility to use them abroad. So if the strengths of an organization are valued abroad, then expansion to selected markets is feasible. So a firm may use similar customers' preferences, distribution channels, and law regulations, as well as favorable geographical location. An extender strategy is to transfer products, domestic products, and services to similar markets, offers opportunities for expansion into other regions and countries. So from the root word extend, meaning nag-expand ka pero same pa rin ang market mo. So best example for this is ang Jollibee, who expanded its fast food chain worldwide. Pero kahit na saang country siya nag-expand, the taste are still the same. Lasang Pinoy pa rin kasi ang target market ng Jollibee are Pinoy from all over the world, bringing the taste of home to them. Unlike McDonald's who customizes country per country, si Jollibee is same lang talaga ang product niya. So I think you will be familiar with the next strategy, the Dodger strategy. This might be used in the case when a firm operates in an industry characterized by high pressure to globalize. At the same time, the company's characteristics should be customized to the local market. Competitiveness is assessed on the basis of the firm's ability to reorganize its operations. So as I've always shared to you, McDonald's is an example for this one as they tend to customize product based in country's culture. So the contender strategy is an option for a local business functioning in an industry characterized by high pressure to globalize. So the company's asset should be attractive enough to be valued also on foreign markets. It does not happen very often that local companies are capable of gaining leadership skills in an international network of manufacturers and component suppliers. So local companies can follow a contender strategy by upgrading their resources and capabilities to suit relatively small and specialized markets in other regions or countries. Niche markets are generally left alone by larger international organizations, and MNCs achieve it by means of placing their production in low-cost countries. An example with these are the US cartoon characters mentioned before that is made in Philippines. So this is a way for the American industry to save cost of production. So not just that, even Nike opened a factory in China due to its low cost of production. Okay, next. Let us now discuss about Hofstede's cultural dimension theory. So as we are aiming to go global, knowing the country's culture is really of a necessity. As the saying goes, ignorance of the law excuses no one. So it is very important to familiarize it. So let us start with power distance. Power distance is about the degree of inequality a national culture considers normal. What does it imply? In societies with high power distance, people are more likely to accept that power inequality is good and acceptable, like in Latino, Asian, African, and Arab communities, and low for Northern Europe's. So people in high power distant societies are more likely to accept that there are some powerful people who are in charge and these people are entitled to special benefits. So this is true to Asian countries, especially here in the Philippines. So 'di ba, people in position are highly respected, and even if you did nothing wrong, there would be times that you will get punished for unreasonable grounds, pero wala kang choice kasi sila ang nasa taas. So in contrast, societies with low power distance tend to consider that all members are equal. Okay, next is this individualism versus collectivism. So this is the extent to which it is appropriate for people to look after themselves and be cared for. So developed countries have the greatest individualism. So in societies with high individualism or low collectivism scores, individuals are valued for their achievements and are rewarded and recognized for such achievements. In contrast, people who live in the societies with low individualism are seen as being part of a wider group known as the in group. So the in group includes the family, team, or social class, and how individuals relate to such wider groups is seen as important to their success. In other words, people's success is gauged by how others in their groups view and support them. So dito sa Philippines, we value teamwork. That is why high ang rate natin for collectivism. Kasi we believe that two heads are better than one. And mass quality and output and fast ang accomplishment when working together. But in US country or Singapore, and in Singapore, they are more on individualism. So individual accomplishment is highly valued than teamwork. So third is the masculinity versus femininity. Okay, it is the acceptable balance between dominance, assertiveness, and acquisition compared to regard for people, feelings, and quality of life. Nordic countries have the lowest difference, while masculinity is very high in Japan. So it is therefore not surprising to see that individuals in Nordic countries prefer leaders who are more charismatic and who demonstrate participative leadership tendencies. The least preferred style for this cluster is the self-protected leader, which is more representative of individualist culture, which we can evidently see in Japanese corporation. So then the uncertainty avoidance, it's the degree of preference for structured versus unstructured situations. The countries in the Middle East cluster, which includes countries such as Egypt, Morocco, and Turkey, tend to score high on uncertainty avoidance. So as a result, because of the high levels of uncertainty avoidance, subordinates are often reluctant to make decisions that involve risk, thereby explaining the high rank for autonomous leadership style. Thus, it is not surprising that the Middle East cluster prefers leaders who are less participative. So it is therefore not surprising that leaders who are successful in the cluster are those who make decisions collectively, who treat their subordinates with formality, and who displays charisma. So finally is the long-term versus short-term orientation. So persistence to reach a future rather than live in the present, follow tradition and other social obligations. Long-term orientations are found in China and Japan, but are low in Anglo-American, Islamic, African, and Latin American countries. Okay, so the last topic would be strategic alliances and partnerships. So these are formal and informal associations and collaborations between independently owned organizations. A formal alliance involves a legally binding collaboration between two organizations to work to a specific purpose, which may involve a major project and shared resources. So strategic alliance is an arrangement between two companies to undertake a mutually beneficial project while each retains its independence. So the agreement is less complex and less binding than a joint venture, so in which two businesses pool resources to create a separate business entities. So a business may enter into a strategic alliance to expand into a new market, improve its product line, or develop an edge over a competitor. So the arrangement allows two businesses to work toward a common goal that will benefit both. So the relationship may be short or long term, and the agreement may be formal or informal. So the deal between Starbucks and Barnes and Noble is a classic example of a strategic alliance. So Starbucks brews the coffee while Barnes and Noble stocks the books. So both companies do what they do best while sharing the cost of space to benefit both of companies. Okay, so that's it for this big picture C, and I hope that you will earn high scores in your examination. So God bless everyone. Then if you have any question, so kindly ask me during our video conference or you can PM me. Okay, so God bless and goodbye.